the situation in Iraq is getting really, really bad. And this is exactly, by the way, exactly what we were predicting, those of us in the anti-war movement, back in 2003, in the winter and spring of 2003, when George W. Bush was talking, actually in 2000, throughout 2002. I mean, it was, within days of 9/11, the Bush administration was starting to talk about Iraq and Afghanistan. And we said, with regard to Afghanistan, take Mullah Omar's offer and let him arrest bin Laden and send him to a third country for trial for 9/11. Go for it. And Bush didn't want to do that. He wanted to bomb them back to the Stone Age, with the advice of, the neocon bunch, which, in my opinion, included the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies. And in addition to that, he said he was going to go into Iraq, and the reasons kept changing. Oh, well, there was this one al-Qaeda guy who was having lunch in a cafe in Baghdad. One al-Qaeda guy in the whole country. Turns out there was in Iraq. Why? Because hated al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda intensely, insanely hated the fact that in Iraq, men could drink alcohol, women could drive and go to school and walk around with their bare elbows. And so Saddam kept al-Qaeda out of the country. We knocked off Saddam, and guess what? In comes al-Qaeda. Saddam also was having a feud with Iran. In fact, he had a war with Iran. We supported both sides of that war. We supported Saddam's side overtly. We supplied Iran covertly. We gave Iran satellite shots of the footage of the movements of the Iraqi army, and we gave direct support to the Iraqi army. I mean, Don Rumsfeld, thank you, our defense secretary, back during the George Herbert war, actually back during the Reagan era and the beginning of the Bush era, before the first Gulf War, was over, shaking hands with Saddam and selling him mustard gas and stuff like that. And I think, we kept this war going. It killed 1 million Iraqis and 1 million Iranians as a way to weaken them both. But, Iran kept Iraq in check, and Iraq kept Iran in check, and the system, the region was, by today's standards, certainly very stable. And then George W. Bush goes in and just opens the gates of hell. It's just astounding. And I don't see al-Qaeda or Hezbollah threatening Mexico, for example, which has never offered, to the best of my knowledge, offered soldiers to go into the Middle East on our behalf to fight for our oil companies. It's just, yeah. Anyway. Robert in Mission Viejo, California. Hey, Robert.
Yeah, hey, Tom. Since you brought up Iran, Iraq, that was the idea of getting that war started was to disarm the Ayatollah. Because remember, the Ayatollah was using U.S. weapons and needed U.S. spare munitions and spare parts. And that's why they took hostages, so we would give them those weapons.
Right.
And as you recall, Reagan, the hostages were let go the minute Reagan took office, and it is a fact that $80 billion worth of weapons went to Iran under the Reagan administration.
Right, over the next 6 years.
Killed the Marines.
Yeah.
And not only that, But I think you got the satellite imaging wrong. It was us giving the Iraqis Iranian troop movements so that they could deploy the poison gas that we were letting them use against Iran, because otherwise Iran would have wiped up the floor with them.
Ah, okay. Thank you for that correction,
and
Robert.
Also, at the same time as they were fighting, the Kuwaitis came to Southern California, bought a thing called Santa Fe Oil Company. They specialize in plant drilling. They moved north to the border, drilled into the oil field in Iraq, siphoned out the oil, used that oil to fund Iraq's fight with Iran, and that was what actually precipitated the fight with, or the invasion of Kuwait, because, the Kuwaitis kept pushing Iraq to pay back the money that they had loaned them during the war.
Right.
Now, getting back to us invading Iraq, they had a 400,000-man army that knew the terrain, knew what they were doing, and what did Bush do with it?
He disbanded it.
Disbanded it and sent armed people home with nothing to do.
Right. And he also suspended unemployment payments and Social Security payments.
Exactly.
I mean, it was nuts. It was like Rumsfeld. These guys really believed this libertarian crap that if you just do away with all forms of government support for people, they will magically, a free market will emerge and jobs will happen and everything will be wonderful. And instead, the country went to hell. It absolutely went to hell. Robert, you're right. Thank you for the call. We'll be back.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 866-987-THOM.
It seems to me that the best thing for us to do with regard to Iraq, Iran, and the whole region right now is just to back out.